The biggest story in Indian, in fact not just Indian, in fact international cricket at the moment is no MS Dhoni in the T20 squads that the Indian team has announced for the series against West Indies and then Australia. Is it the end of MS Dhoni, the T20 cricketer? That's what we'd be discussing. Plenty of other changes as well in the Indian squad. Ajit Agarkar, Phil Simmons join me. Ajit, usually what you do in office is Friday is like the beginning of the weekend, so you try and finish all your file work. That's what the selectors have done. I've picked up squads for like some 4 or 5 series.
Friday night, that too.
So that no one bothers them on a Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big news is MS not being in the T20 team. With the kind of following he has, or fan following, and the achievements that he has, obviously it's big news. But I don't know, the selector said it's not the end of the road for him in T20s, which I don't quite understand. But it's the right decision because, the next World Cup, the T20 World Cup is 2020. That's 2 years from now. You don't quite know whether he's going to last till then. I don't think his performances in T20 cricket have been good enough, or you don't maybe need him as much as perhaps everyone says that they need him in the one-day cricket. You've got to look forward. I mean, when he was captain, he did that, moved some of the guys on, and that's how it should be. It doesn't matter how great the player has been in his career. Eventually, you've got to stay in the present, which sometimes gets lost. Selectors might have to answer a bit more about what this rest means in T20 cricket, but that's what they've said. But I think it's the right call. I think you've got a player who seems to potentially have everything to succeed in the shorter format as well in Rishabh Pant. There are a couple other guys who've done well in T20 cricket, and that's the way you should. You have to keep looking forward. That's the only way you'll keep improving as a team to be consistent. Okay.
Interesting thoughts as you talk about the ODI form and whether that now merits a place in the ODI team. MS Dhoni, we'll talk about that in detail. But quick word, you roughly touched upon that resting bit. Why would an MS Dhoni need rest? This is a question best asked to the selectors, but they aren't there.
From where I see it is they've left him out, and which is fair. I mean, we all know he's been a great player, but there's a time for everyone. I mean, I suppose the team's bigger than any player who's been around. They said they want to see who their second option as wicketkeeper is. As far as I can see at the moment, Rishabh Pant's head and shoulders above everyone else that they've tried, and the only other person that they've tried, not as keeper but as a batsman, has been Dinesh Karthik. Unfortunately, because MS has been playing every single game, they haven't had a chance to try anyone as a wicketkeeper batsman at all. So, we did a show 8 months back, whether India still needs MS Dhoni in T20 cricket. I'm not so sure. I mean, T20 cricket, there are so many guys who do well in the IPL or otherwise. I don't quite see the reason needing him. One day cricket, there's some different views out there. Well, I think the performance has to matter. If he's doing well, he's got to be in the team. If he's not, he should be treated as everyone else. I think all experienced players or all great players get a little bit more leeway than the others, and rightly so. But at the end of the day, you've got to see where the performances of an individual are.
Right, that has to end sometime, that leeway as you're talking about. I'll go to Phil, but before that, quick word, since you're a selector yourself, is rested another word for dropped? Selectors are very reluctant to use that word.
I can't answer for someone else, but if you had left someone out of the squad and looking forward, that's the way you should spell it out, not try and sugarcoat it because it's a certain name. And I hope that's not the case. I'm not saying that's the case. Then that may not be the case. But if you are looking forward, you are looking forward. I mean, you've been given that job. You are trying to do the best you can in the interest of the team. Some people will like it, some people won't. I mean, that's the way it has always been. And that's the way it will always be. Like I said, I can't answer for MSK Prasad. Maybe they've actually left him out only out of these 6 games or the next 6 T20s. But we'll have to wait and find out.
And then what do they do if Rishabh Pant does really well? If Dinesh Karthik gets a lot of run, do you bring him back? I mean, that's another question. Let's quickly first look at those T20 squads that we're talking about for the Windies series as well as Australia. Has roughly exactly the same squad. The only difference there is for the T20 series in Australia, because Virat is rested for the T20 series versus the Windies. He comes back for the series against Australia, and Shahbaz Nadeem then goes out. The rest of the team is exactly the same. You've got the regulars like like Rohit Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan. Interesting, Krunal Pandya then making a comeback. Washington Sundar has been included in that team as well. Khalil Ahmed, we've seen him in one-day cricket, now also into the T20 squad, and then Shahbaz Nadeem, the other one. I mean, these are just your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, lots of new faces. I think Nadeem's deserved it, has been doing well whenever he's got an opportunity, whether it's first-class cricket or domestic T20 cricket or IPL. So another guy to try out in 2020 cricket. They'll have another option if need be. I know the two wrist spinners at the moment are more than enough and getting the job done. Washington Sundar's another one, bowls with the new ball, has played a few games, so they've brought him back. Krunal Pandya is an interesting one for me. I think finally, they've hopefully gets an opportunity to play because for some reason, in spite of getting Jadeja back, trying different guys, somehow I'm not sure what the deal is, whether they think he's only good for T20 cricket. I'm not quite sure because I feel he's done well for Baroda recently in the Vijay Hazare as well. Seems to have all the goods to succeed as a all-rounder. Batting all-rounder, bowls left-arm spin. So good time to try him. I think at some stage, hopefully they give him an opportunity in one-day cricket as well, because from whatever little we've seen and more in the IPL and little bit now in domestic cricket, seems like a good player.
Okay, we also have Phil because we were talking about MS Dhoni. Phil, your thoughts on MS Dhoni being left out of the T20 team? Do you think it was time?
I think the way I look at it is that when you're a great player, you're in there, but people have to push you out. And I think now the way how young Pant is playing, he's knocking on that door very hard, and I think that has knocked on the selector's mind in the form that Dhoni has been in. Pant is pushing him hard for his place, and I think it's a good thing that they have 6 games, and most likely he might play all of them or most of them, and then they can see, because it's a preparation for 2020, which as Ajay said earlier, you're not sure if MS is going to be there then, if he's going to be fit, if he's going to be scoring runs. So I think they've gone the right way in taking their chance now, giving the youngster a chance to come in and show what he has. I'm just not sure about the term resting, and he's not finishing T20. That's my only issues with the selection.
All right, Phil, thanks so much for joining us and giving us those thoughts on MS Dhoni. That, as I said, is the biggest story in international cricket at the moment. And all questions, actually, while I'm directing them at Ajit and Phil, should be directed at the chairman of selectors. But we don't get that chance very often. But this is him talking at that press conference right after the selection.
The T20s here and in Australia is not going to play the 6 T20s because we are looking at the second wicket keeper. As I told you before, also we are also looking at second wicket keeper. So that will be between Rishabh and Dinesh Karthik. So they will be getting a chance to keep him back. Murali Vijay has been dropped from England series, and he went back and played counties. He showed that intent and he's performed. And considering the intensity of the series, we have considered him for the Australia series. With regard to Rohit, we felt that his nature of play, that he's a very good back foot player, and we felt that his game is much suited to play in Australia. The advantage of Parthiv is he can bat, and he's a left-hander. He can bat at any order. And when the team demanded, even with a fractured hand, he played. He opened the innings in South Africa. So, considering all these factors, we have picked him. Kedar Jadhav is injured in Asia Cup, sir. And coming back to this one, Kedar Jadhav is coming back from an injury, and that is the reason why we asked him to play Dilip Trophy. We expected that their team will go on to play the final. That's the reason why he's not been picked for the third ODI. Now he's been picked from fourth, and he's a part of fourth and fifth ODI.
Okay, plenty of talking points. The chairman of selectors trying his best to answer all the questions that were thrown at him. We'll take those questions to Ajit as well. Let's start with Rohit Sharma coming back into the test squad. Now, there were some thoughts that came from former cricketers like Harbhajan Singh, and then you had Saurav Ganguly say that he should be back. What do you make of it? And the explanation that the chairman of selector has is that he's a good back foot player, so he'd be good in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, he's played a test match before in Australia, in Sydney, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
His game seems to be suited. I think his game is suited to most conditions. Unfortunately, for everyone connected to Indian cricket, he perhaps hasn't had the test career he should have had by now. I mean, he's been so successful in one-day cricket and you can see the kind of ability that he has as a batsman. Hasn't done enough in Test cricket. If he had not been picked, I don't think it would have been a bad decision either.
Yeah.
But I can understand where the selectors are, because he seems to have the game. You've got to feel a little bit for Karun Nair. Not sure what conversations they would have had with him. A guy has got a 100 in Test cricket, okay, in India, taken to the England tour, and after that just no reason given and he's been out. So that's, you got to feel for the other player. But as far as ability is concerned, there's no doubt. Maybe this is an opportunity Rohit needed, to try and get his Test career back on track. And we've said it before as well. Yeah. And as far as I can see, this could very well be a last opportunity as far as Test cricket is concerned for him. If he gets an opportunity, Vihari's already got a 50 in England, so he's likely to play ahead of Rohit. But if he does get an opportunity at some stage during this series, he'll have to make it count. I don't think there'll be too many around after this.
The other bit, Murli Vijay was dropped in England, now comes back. Of course, got a few good scores while playing county cricket as well. But do you think the major reason could be they needed someone experienced with young openers? Got KL Rahul, Prithvi Shaw there. So you needed an experienced opener.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. Murli Vijay was harshly dealt with. I mean, to send him back after 2 tests when all the openers were failing from both teams, he was the only guy who was sent back, and he's probably got a better record than Shikhar Dhawan when India's played overseas. So couldn't quite understand why he was sent back. Fortunately, and he's done the right thing, gone and played county cricket, put some runs, got some confidence back, and you need an experienced guy. Last time when they toured Australia, he's done well. He got 100, if I'm not wrong, in Brisbane, which was probably the bounciest pitch of that tour. So, and maybe he's not batting as well as he was in those 2 or 3 years when India toured away, but he still got the experience. You needed that. KL Rahul, you don't quite know what, in spite of having so much ability, you don't quite know what you're getting from him at the moment. And Prithvi Shaw was 2 tests old, 19-year-old kid. So you needed some experience.
Alright, now while you've retired and put your feet up, there's a mate of yours who was playing alongside you for the longest time. He still is there, keeps coming back into the team. Parthiv Patel. Does that also tell you lack of options, or maybe because Riddhi is injured, so you had to go back to Parthiv?
I think it's more Saha injured, and Parthiv played in that test in South Africa. Opened in the second inning. Look, he's always been gritty. I mean, he contributes with the bat, especially in Test cricket. Pant is obviously going to play ahead of him. And it's only if Pant doesn't actually have a couple of good tests or even more, or an injury, is when Parthiv might come into the equation. It was a bit unfortunate not to make that English tour, right? For some reason they picked Dinesh Karthik on his T20 performance. Couldn't quite understand that when Parthiv was already part of the squad in South Africa, but it's one of those things, sometimes you don't understand those. Fortunately, I can't say any or too many other options that they could have gone for.
Okay, talking about things you don't understand, Kedar Jadhav, one evening he comes to a press conference, he's really surprised he's not in the team. That same evening he gets to know he's been picked for the remaining ODI, just misses that one.
They said apparently it was fitness. They wanted him to wanted to make sure that he's fit enough to participate. I'm again not quite sure.
So that one game gave them an idea whether he can.
After that one game they didn't pick him. And then maybe 2 days later they said, look, sometimes you don't know. Maybe the physios had a look at him, made sure how he's reacted to playing that game. And hamstrings can be a bit tricky. And he's had a few injuries before that as well. You don't want that injury to recur, because then you'll be out for a longer period. So at least they've picked him for those last 2 one-days, which is a good thing, because he then lends a little bit of balance, with his right arm side arm off spin or whatever he bowls, and with the bat. So fortunately they've picked him, so they can see at least where his fitness is at.
Okay, well, as you know, that's not a foolproof technique, because we saw that with Shardul Thakur as well. They got him to play domestic cricket, brought him back, but then again got injured. So you really don't know what the injury is. And as Ajit was saying, hamstrings can be tricky, so we don't know what his injury status is. But he's back into the squad, and now it looks like India's full strength team would be playing the 4th and the 5th ODI versus West Indies. Ajit Agarkar, thanks so much for joining us.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments in the comment section below. Click on the bell icon for notifications.